Welcome back to another episode of Eli the Computer Guy narrates the worst timeline. Out of all of the multiverses, you picked the worst one, the stupidest one. Anyways, how are y'all doing today? I'm just sitting here, just procrastinating right now. Again, what I'm doing, my pride and joy. Silicon Dojo, authorityless gatekeepers, free to the end user, hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is that you want to do. It is here. We have a class coming up tomorrow, how to become a technology professional. That's going to be on Zoom. We have our old Zoom classes here. We have our self-study program. Got 159 participants in that right now. We have our office hours. All of this is free to the end user. Because what if, I'm just going to put this out there as an American, what if we empowered our population to improve our society? Oh my God. That's the feminazi in me coming out. Oh no, what would Joe Rogan do if he heard that? An American man saying, what if we built structures to empower people so that the foundations of our society would be stronger? That's just little femboy, soy boy crap right there. But anyways, I'll admit it, I eat soy. Again, I've been exercising, I've been doing my running. In the morning, I literally eat a block of soy. There's like 70 to 80 grams of protein in that block of soy, and that's currently what I eat for breakfast. So that's right, that's the kind of soy boy that I am. Anyways, currently working on this. So this is, if you go over the self-study thing, we're working on the Bottle web app framework. That's currently in process. So we have Python here, and we have the old Python series. So we're going to do Bottle, then we're going to do a SQLite, and just going to keep going. Again, the idea, like what if there was a repository for knowledge to teach people how to make their circumstances better? Anyways, I know I'm old school. I'm a not boomer. Eli doesn't understand the modern world. That's right. As a not boomer. Anyways. So we got to talk about Biden again today. Because come on, we only have a few more days of this idiocy until we get to the next idiocy. To be clear, we all lost the election. Nobody won that election. Eli, who won the American election? Nobody. The comedians, I do believe the late night comedians won the election for the past couple of cycles, and they're about the only ones. So anyways, I've been talking about this whole anti-China policy that the United States has had for a decade and a half now. Again, our Nobel Peace Prize winning president pointed all of our military apparatus at China, as Nobel Peace Prize winners do. Here's your Nobel Peace Prize winner. What do you got to do, Mr. Obama? Well, I'm going to point all our tanks and all our battleships and all our nuclear weapons at that country of brown people over there, and if they get out of line, we're going to nuke their ass. Oh, very good. Very good. Yes. That is a certain type of Nobel Peace Prize winner right there. Anyways, I've been talking about this for a while because it's just frustrating how it's out, right? Again, we are told that China is our number one geopolitical foe or whatever. At the exact same time, they're like our number one trading partner. Right? They sell us a huge number of the precursors to the medicines that we use. Oh, you take a pharmaceutical? Guess what? The components of that pharmaceutical probably come from China. Oh, they sell us a huge number of the batteries. They sell us the computers. Basically, they sell us most of the things that are required to make modern society function. Like literally, if you put up a trade barrier, a trade wall between the United States and China, United States would literally fall the hell apart. And it's not because China has one resource or one patent or a couple of things that put them in the lead. It's not like Saudi Arabia. It's not like they have like this one thing and they happen to own all of it, right? It's just, because they've been building structures to make the foundations of their society stronger. And in doing so, they've cornered the market on a hell of a lot of stuff, right? And the interesting thing is, right, instead of America and instead of the West buckling down in order to try to make our systems more robust, no, what do? We point a gun at them. I think China man got our money in his pocket. That's a sad thing. Don't you hate it when China Man got your money in his pocket? Motherfucker sold you shit. Motherfucker worked his ass off. Motherfucker offered you something to buy that you thought was a good product at a reasonable price. You then bought that product, and then you know what that motherfucking China Man do? He puts your cash in his pocket. The fuck's wrong with him? Doesn't he know it's your cash? Anyways, there's the America of mythology and the America of reality. I literally wrote a book. What was it called? Something in the Heartland. Fever in the Heartland. Anyways, it talked about the rise of the Ku Klux Klan. And you know the most shocking thing of the rise of the Ku Klux Klan back in the 1920s? Is how fucking quick it was. I didn't even realize that. Like, I have a degree in criminal justice, so we had to learn about the Klan back when I was getting my degree, but never really hit me like how quick that shit was. Like, boom. People were bored. And they're like, fuck, what are we gonna do? And they're like, well, some people over there, they're putting sheets on their head and running around and burning crosses and lynching black people. I'm like, well, it's not what I planned to do this Saturday night, but I mean, I'm kind of bored, so yeah, let's go lynch a black guy. Yeah, that became a real thing. The Kitty Clan, Oh, you gotta do some research on this. There's the fucking Kitty Clan. Yeah, like this is real. This is real about America. Like this is real about. So again, you hear about the Ku Klux Klan. You hear about the Ku Klux Klan, right? What? Anyways, well, one of the things with the Ku Klux Klan was the preserving the white race or whatever. But for the Klan itself, it was a masculine thing. Like men joined the Klan, and then they realized, well, hell, we got all these women, and they can't really be part of the normal Klan, but they're part of building a better family structure or whatever. So then they came out with the Woman's Klan. And that grew. That went from like nothing to 500,000 members in like a year. 500,000 American women were like, oh, put a sheet on my head and scream about black people. That sounds good. And then they're sitting there, and then they're looking at it like, oh, right, we got the white guys burning crosses, and we got the white women screaming at black kids. They're like, look at all these young white people. How are we going to get them, trained so that they can be strong members of the Klan when they become older? They literally came up with the fucking Kitty Klan. Do you realize there was a point in American society where the Kitty Klan? Can you imagine that you come home from a day working and doing the factory work or whatever, and you got your wife at home and you're sitting there, you're trying to figure out what to do with little Tommy. Little Tommy, Tommy's about 5 years old, growing up, and it's like, we got to give him some extracurricular activities. And you're like, well, I don't know. Well, we could do this whole 4-H thing. That's going to teach little Tommy about, farming and that kind of stuff. I don't know, we can do this Boy Scout thing. I don't know, that'll teach him to be an adventurer in the woods. Or, I gotta say, Bobby across the road, he really seems to be liking this Kitty Clan. Maybe we put little Tommy into the Kitty Clan. Can you imagine a time in our society where, the options are, does Tommy go into the Boy Scouts or the Kitty Clan? And this is fucking real. This is fucking real. So when I talk about the endemic racism of the United States, it's just like, oh God, it is so bad. It is so just, what the fudge? So anyways, we have this whole anti-China thing because China is out competing us. Which means they're doing it wrong. They must be punished. If they work harder than you, and they provide a better service, and they make more money, well, I guess you've just got to firebomb their homes. Now, isn't that the case? So, anyways, we've had a lot of stuff going on. We've had a lot. Again, so TikTok is supposed to get banned on Sunday. I'll probably talk about that tomorrow just to see if anything happens since tomorrow is Friday. TikTok is supposed to be banned because whatever, national security purposes. We just had the thing on the GPUs. So now the Biden administration is pushing out these rules for like total number of GPUs to be sent, not just to China, but to other countries so that people don't get around the bans and all that kind of stuff. And so the latest thing is the Biden administration, coming from Reuters, Biden administration finalizes U.S. crackdown on Chinese vehicles, because we can't have those damn China cars on the American roads. Don't China man know Americans don't want to buy their cars? Again, my frustration here is that the American car companies have literally stated Americans do not want inexpensive electric vehicles. Americans don't want electric vehicles, and Americans don't want inexpensive American vehicles, and that's why there's like almost no American car or car sold in the United States that's under $20,000 at this point, because Americans don't fucking want it. How stupid are you? How stupid are you, China man, that you think somebody wants to buy your $12,000 car? That's not how America rolls. Ford, GM, they know what Americans want, right? So anyways, literally, our auto manufacturers have stated they're not going to sell cheap cars because Americans don't want them. So anyways, China's pumping out a shit ton of cheap cars. The quality seems to be getting better and better. And so they're trying to go to other markets. Again, trying to go to Europe, trying to go to the United States, and the whole nine yards. And then what are we told? And this is weird. Apparently, if China is able to sell their cheap electric cars in the United States, it is an existential risk to our auto manufacturing. So if China sells cars that nobody in America wants, that's an existential risk to our car manufacturing. That doesn't make any sense. If people don't want this type of car, then they're not going to buy this type of car, and therefore China would lose a shit ton of money. The reality is that Americans would like inexpensive electric vehicles. Our auto manufacturers refuse to make them because they think it's better to have a much higher profit point. Ergo, they're now trying to ban who would be their competition. And again, this is interesting, with the auto manufacturing thing. There's been paperwork written about this, where it was about a decade ago. Again, businesses are businesses. Profit is profit. How do you make money? Do you make money per unit, or do you make money for more scale, for selling more? And basically, the auto manufacturers in the United States decided after the Great Recession that the way that they would make money is by making money more per unit. They would sell more SUVs. They would sell more of the higher class vehicles so that they would make more money per car, and they would simply stop making low cost, high production, high volume vehicles because they did not feel that they were making enough money per vehicle. So literally, the auto manufacturers in the United States decided to stop making inexpensive vehicles, which has a massive number of add-on effects. But anyways, so now we're in this world. And so Biden administration finalizes U.S. crackdown on Chinese vehicles, because we can't have vehicles that Americans could actually afford. What's gonna happen if Americans are driving China man cars? They'll be able to get to work again. And think about this with cars. Again, when I was growing up, a passenger side mirror was an option. Not necessarily a good thing. True. I had friends of mine, they would buy a car. They did not want to splurge that extra $200 for a passenger side mirror. So when you bought a car, there was no airbags. There was no passenger side mirror. The radio that you got in the car, literally the day after you got the car, you might swap it out because it was a piece of crap radio. Good chance there was not air conditioning, even in the South, and the whole nine yards. But here's the thing. You had no air conditioning. You had no airbag. You had no passenger side mirror or whatever else. But what you did have? You had a seat that you could sit in to drive your ass to work. You could get to work and you could get back again for an affordable amount of money, for an affordable car. But now What our government and what the manufacturers have mandated is that in order to get to work now, you have to get to work with all these accoutrements that are going to cost a hell of a lot of money because they want to make sure that if you're going to get to work, that you're going to get to work in comfort or whatever else. The problem is that there's a massive number of people that simply can't afford that. They can't afford it. If you told them, look, you can buy a car, it'll cost you $1,000 less with no air conditioning. It will cost you, X amount less with no fancy radio, right? So here's our car. Here's our $20,000 car. And if we rip out all this stuff, you could buy it for $12,000. Well, what do I get for $12,000? You get a box on wheels that'll get you from point A to point B. You know what? A lot of people are like, fine. I prefer the air conditioner and everything else, but you know what I really need? I need to be able to get to work. And that is one of the most insidious things about our political class at this point in time, is they don't grasp the concept that many people just need to get to work at this point. Many people just need roofs over their heads. Many people just need basic health care. Many people need basic pension and retirement systems. They need basic vehicles. But instead of the basics, we are getting all of this Italian marble, right? Oh, look, you can now get a luxury house with Italian marble for only $800,000. It's like, okay, well, I don't got $800,000 and I don't give a damn about Italian marble. What can you give me for $100,000? Oh, we would not debase you to sell you a house with linoleum in it. You know what we would have to do to sell you a $100,000 house? We'd have to put linoleum on the floor. And we know you have more pride than have linoleum on your floor. We know you'd rather be homeless than have linoleum on your floor. The only thing worse than this administration is most likely going to be the next one. Biden administration finalizes U.S. crackdown on Chinese vehicles. President Joe Biden's outgoing administration, this is funny because this is, I'm doing this on Thursday. Literally, the jackass is going out on Monday. Last week of his presidency, he's still pulling this crap. Dude, stop. Just stop. Biden outgoing administration is finalizing rules Tuesday that will effectively bar nearly all Chinese cars and trucks from the U.S. market as part of a crackdown on vehicle software and hardware. Because we've got to worry about that national security concern. Washington's latest move against Chinese vehicles comes after the Commerce Department said this month it was considering a similar crackdown on Chinese-made drones in the wake of last year's steep tariff hikes on imports of its electric vehicles. Quote, it's really important because we don't want 2 million Chinese cars on the road and then realize we have a threat. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo told Reuters, citing national security concerns. National security. Here's a question. Are you positive you can feed your children? Are you positive you can put a roof over your children's head? Are you positive that if your kid breaks their arm, that is not going to put your family into bankruptcy? It is amazing how the national security risk is always China. It's never our healthcare system or our housing or our education system or our retirement funds, right? If you die freezing to death under a bridge, as far as these folks are concerned, that's A-okay. Because at least a Chinaman didn't make a buck off you to do it. Again, think about it, right? So they're gonna be banning all Chinese cars. Cars that average people would be able to afford reasonably easily are going to be banned. Why? National security. So why don't we have, testing and engineering compliance where we verify the systems that are being put into these vehicles? Where are these standards that are being put out for what we put in these vehicles? Anyways, in September, her department proposed a sweeping ban on key Chinese software and hardware in connected vehicles on American roads, with software prohibitions to take effect in 2027 model year and those on hardware in 2029. They also bar Chinese car companies from testing self-driving cars on U.S. roads. Again, if we're going to murder Americans, it better, by God, be Uber or Tesla. Why? Let's see. The rules also cover Russian vehicles and components. The U.S. Commerce Department said in the final rule it was making some changes, such as exempting vehicles heavier than 10,000 pounds from the requirements, which would let China's BYD continue to assemble electric buses in California. And again, that's a curious thing. If you're really worried about the security and everything else, buses are going to be going all over your cities. Buses are going to be collecting a hell of a lot of information about your populations. But strangely enough, buses are going to be exempted because somebody wants the buses. On Monday, the department said it planned to soon propose rules barring Chinese software and hardware in larger commercial vehicles, including trucks and buses. A final decision will be up to the incoming Trump administration. In a shift, the department said the bans would not cover Chinese software developed before the new rules took effect, as long as it was not being maintained by a Chinese firm. That means GM and Ford could potentially continue to import some Chinese-made vehicles for U.S. buyers, a senior official told reporters. So surprise. China's dangerous unless GM and Ford are making a profit off of it. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation represented GM, Toyota, Volkswagen, and Hyundai, and other major automakers unsuccessfully sought an additional year to meet the hardware requirements. Polestar, the Swedish automaker that is a brand of China's Geely, warned in October that without changes, the commerce rule would, quote, effectively prohibit it from selling vehicles in the United States. An administration official said officials expect Polestar would need to seek a specific authorization under the final rule. Polestar declined to comment. In September, the Biden administration finalized steep tariffs, blah, blah, blah. So that's the latest thing. Biden, on his way out, in order to protect the poor people of America, are going to be trying to prevent them from buying new vehicles that are actually affordable. Because the only way to protect blue-collar workers in America is to shove your knee into their neck just a little bit harder. Anyways, I mean, isn't that what we learned? Isn't that what we really learned from George Floyd? If you really want to think it, what did we actually learn from George Floyd? If you're gonna shove your knee in the neck of a black guy, make sure you kill him a hell of a lot quicker, right? It was like 8 minutes, 9 minutes. That was 9 minutes or whatever of killing that black guy. Everyone's like, oh my golly. If you just shove your knee in the neck and like kill his ass in like 2 minutes, I think the past couple of years would be an entirely different situation. But anyways, that's a diatribe for another time. So anyways, the thing that I don't get about this is, again, China is doing so much of our manufacturing. Our computer equipment, our electronics equipment, the assembly, the whole 9 yards. If they want to compromise our systems, they're fully able to. So it seems like a lot of this is just piecemeal horse crap in order to try to protect our manufacturers who have zero interest in actually producing the goods that the American public needs. Right? Again, think about when Toyota came into the United States in the 1970s and just started devastating the American auto companies. There wasn't a lot they could do. Again, they could do tariffs or that type of thing, but when you just got a transmission and an internal combustion engine, right, you can't wiggle around the rules a lot. And so they got hammered, right? We got more efficient, more reliable, less expensive cars, right? Our auto manufacturers got hammered because they hadn't kept up with the times, and it's better for a lot of us. Well, now, basically, imagine if there had been something in those Toyota vehicles where the government at the time could have said somehow they were a national security risk. Well, then all of a sudden, it's not about competition. It's not about protectionism. It's about national security. What if Toyota had been banned from our market because the psychopathic, out of their mind politicians had found some national security clause to prevent Japanese car companies to be able to sell into the United States? How much worse would things be now? We would probably still have cars getting 10 miles a gallon with just crap quality and the rest of it. Again, when I was growing up in the 1980s, an American car, if it made it to 100,000 miles, it was a shock. And that's not a joke. That's not like snark or whatever. Right? That was the whole thing with Toyota. Toyota back in the day, one of their impressive things was that you could get 200,000 miles out of a Toyota car because everybody knew that if you bought an American car, if you got 100,000 miles out of it, you were probably a lucky person. Right? Things overall are much better because we allowed Japanese cars to come into the United States. And now what they're doing is they figured out, oh, we're not gonna fight them over batteries or whatever else. We're gonna fight them over national security. Again, as the Democrats know, they're not going to let you die in the improper way. If you're gonna die, you're gonna starve to death like a real Democrat does. And again, again, I don't, right? Intel's laying off 15,000 people. Ford isn't doing particularly well. GM isn't particularly doing pretty well. Stanislaus or whatever the hell that company is, they're not doing particularly well. Tesla just had their first year of declining sales. American manufacturing is not doing well, and it is not producing the goods that Americans actually want and can afford. And so instead of giving them the competition that would be good for all of us, no, they're coming in with national security horse crap to try to ban this equipment from our streets. Anyways, I don't know what to say. I mean, again, where's the $15,000 Chevy electric Chevy car coming out? Where's the $15,000 Ford car coming out? Where's the $15,000 Tesla car coming out? Or some kind of equivalent of it. A more innovative way of doing, car ownership or whatever. We're not seeing that. What are we seeing? Day after day, we're told China is bad. Why? Because they're bad. Don't ask. Don't ask. Don't think about it. Don't consider what it means. China's bad, and that's why we point our entire military establishment at them. And if they step out of line, it's gonna be World War III. So, anyways, what do you think about this with the Biden administration basically cracking down on Chinese vehicles to make it so they won't be able to be sold in the United States? What do you think about that? We're literally, the American car companies have stated that Americans do not want low cost electric vehicles. And yet at the same time, if low cost electric vehicles are allowed in the United States from China, that is an existential threat to the manufacturers. What do you think about in the last week of a senile old bastard's term as president? Literally, they're passing these rules that may have existential effects on this country. Put your thoughts down below. I just don't. It's the thing, like when you crack down on Russia, like whether you like cracking down on Russia or hate cracking down on Russia, right? There's the argument there. But when you crack down on Russia, especially as an American, it doesn't do a whole hell of a lot, right? Again, you got the oil and gas going from Russia to Europe. So as a European, it might matter. But it's not like we're driving Russian cars. It's not like we're using Russian computers. I mean, Russia could just get wiped off the map. And other than their natural resources, Americans wouldn't even notice. Right? So good or bad on banning Russian stuff. I mean, the practical effect is probably who the hell cares. Right, practically. The weird thing about China, though, again, is they're like our number one trading partner. Again, everything from from drywall to components for medication to our computers and electronics to the things that make our cars go. Even if we can't buy the damn car, the components going into the cars are getting from China. Like we're connected to the nutsack to China, and yet we keep trying to beat the shit out of them. And I don't see the actual separation there. Again, I don't see our auto manufacturers stepping up to produce better vehicles that are going to compete better. right? Again, our chip industry, right? Intel gets billions and billions of dollars from the CHIPS Act and then lays off 15,000 employees. That's not even a joke. That's real. Like, I don't, as we call China our enemy and as we try to punish our enemy, I see nothing in this country that's building the foundations for our society so that we can disconnect from China. Basically, what I see is old racist bastards, right? Those little bastards that were little fucking kitty clan 80 years ago. What I see is them looking at brown people actually expecting to be treated with fucking dignity. And they're saying, hell fucking no. My daddy, my granddaddy knew what to do with brown people. And I'm going to use our government to do that to China. That's what I see. That's what I see. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. Highway to hell. Highway to hell. We are on the highway to hell. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think about all this idiocy? I just don't get it. I like literally, I don't get it. And again, like I said, the Trump administration is coming in, so a lot of people are like, well, we're going to get rid of Biden, so Trump's going to come in. But again, he's talking about these insane tariffs that we're going to pay. That's taxes on the Americans. And I'm not even being snarky about that. That's just fucking what it is. It's like, yeah, you know what's going to punish those China people? What's that? You pay more taxes. What? Yeah, see how we're going to punish those Chinamen is when you go to buy a product, it's going to be 50% more, cost 50% more. What? Yeah, because we're going to charge you that in taxes. Oh, you thought 5% or 7% sales tax is bad? Trump's going to put 100% sales tax on it. What? Wait a minute. Is as it is. What can you do? What can you do? You can try to do what you're doing. So again, I'm doing Silicon Dojo. Authority Gatekeepers, free to end user hands-on technology education to try to help empower people through these dark, dark times. Through these dark, dark, stupid times. Anyways, I need to stop procrastinating. See y'all later.